President Obama recently proclaimed this to be National Crime Victims' Rights Week. It's a stark reminder of the countless victims of modern slavery who continue to suffer horrifying exploitation at the hands of human traffickers. A stark reminder of the need to pass the Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act. It's a bill that victims groups and advocates have called the most comprehensive and thoughtful piece of anti-trafficking legislation currently pending. It provides unprecedented support to domestic victims of trafficking who are all too often invisible and underserved. This group further said, as leaders in the anti-trafficking, anti-violence, child welfare, civil rights, runaway and homeless youth, and human rights movements, we urge Congress to pass this critical piece of legislation. There have been good faith negotiations to resolve the impasse that has prevented the Senate from moving forward on this bill. I'm glad we can now say there is a bipartisan proposal that will allow us to complete action on this important legislation so we can provide help to the victims who desperately need it. As soon as we finish the trafficking bill, as I've indicated for some time now, we'll move to the President's nominee for Attorney General, hopefully in the next day or so. I particularly want to thank the senior senator from Texas for leading these negotiations and for his continued diligence on this important issue. There's really no stronger advocate for victims of human trafficking than Senator Cornyn.
After weeks of really stalling a bipartisan human trafficking bill, my Republican colleagues have now agreed not to expand the scope of the Hyde language. Democrats and Republicans have come to an agreement on a path forward out of this pointless, contrived fight. It also rejects an expansion of the Hyde language to any taxpayer dollars where it didn't apply before. This is really good news. We'll fight human trafficking, and that's really, really very, very important for us to do. But we also reject efforts to further obstruct a woman's access to services they deserve and need, and we believe is within the law. I also want to say something about Senator Cornyn. John Cornyn, I talked to him on Thursday, and we thought we had something worked out. He's been very reasonable in helping us arrive at a conclusion to this, and I express my appreciation to him publicly for that. This compromise is evidence that when Democrats and Republicans sit down together and work toward a solution, good things can happen. The Senate needs more of this. But, Mr. President, let's hope that post-agreement amendments don't ruin the agreement that we've reached. Each side is going to have to be cautious in what they offer, because any one of those amendments, as we know, can cause a mini filibuster or a maxi filibuster, according to how you look at it. We don't need to get involved in that. We need to move forward on this legislation. We're going to have opportunities on other matters to offer amendments, and I think we'd better be very, very careful on amendments that are offered. I say to my Republican colleagues, be very careful that you don't destroy this human trafficking legislation that is so important. And you can do it with, I've looked at some of the amendments that are being talked about being offered. My senators are not going to sit back like shrinking violets and let this stuff go forward without responding in a fashion that will also cause some difficult votes from my Republican colleagues. So let's get rid of this quickly. Let's get Loretta Lynch confirmed quickly and move on to the other matters.